Hello. So now we are going to start financial administration. So what do you understand by budget? So budget is an instrument of coordination. Budget is a comprehensive plan of action designed to achieve the policy objective. It helps to coordinate various aspects of government. Budgeting is the heart of administration. It serves as a powerful tool coordination, like in negativity, but in positively, it's elimination of wastage and duplication. So coordination is served by the device such as justification of estimate, supervision, appropriation fund, timing of the rates of expenditure, and budgeting inculcate cost consciousness feelings should permeates all level of administration including the operating level. So accountability continue to be an important function of the government budget and its usefulness in budget executing and plan implementation. Other way of coordination is planning, budgeting, providing a plan of action for the next financial year. Planning, however, determination of the long-term, short-term objective, determination quality targets, fixation of priority, and planning also span a whole range of government policy. So, keeping the time factor and interrelationship between the policies, planning advises broad policy choices, and planning is the budget process reflects political pressure as well as financial pressure and financial analysis. So next one is audit. Audit is a indispensable, like what do you understand by audit and extra vcs and something of the nature of the impediments. So audit is indispensable for the sound and proper administration as it acts as a watchdog and eye on the spending of public money. Due to this reason, the administration agency have always to be extra vigilant in order to save themselves from financial criticism. So audit is of many types like audit of expenditure, audit of propriety, legal audit. All this type checks on honesty, prudence, malpractice, negligence, wastage, spending taxpayer money. They check all the financial records of the department or public enterprises. Due to this power, the department have to keep all their records systematic and updated. They have to show all the transaction because of which their corruptness or misuse of fund can be caused. So all these reason makes the department and public enterprises careful about their spending. They become reluctant to start any new project, take initiative because of fear of failure and money loss. So also the audit is the outsider who check the audit's account, due to which the company and enterprises do not like his institution. So the belief that outsiders checking the auditing the accounts coupled with the loss of taking initiative and using innovative idea make the public enterprises and government company reluctant to accept the authority of the audit. They always try to play a safe and do not take any drastic measure. So all this makes the audit alien and unacceptable and is considered as an impediment. Okay, so how audit is important. Now next one is what you successfully implementing budgeting approach. So budgeting approach for successful implementation is favorable incentive structure. So budgeting approach contains many development projects which formulate by heavy discussion and deliberation. Failure of implementation means a huge loss of expensive working hours and money and fund. This is why that the government should make sure that there is an inherent incentive mechanism budgeting approach that can motivate the officials who have responsibility of implementation. The budgeting approach is considered as an instrument of social change and development. It has many policy for the target groups or religion or field of economy. That's why it is central to the country development direction. It is not successfully implemented, then there can be a many repercussion like wastage of fund and lagging behind from rest of the world in development process and also social unrest. So believe that the government is not doing anything for the citizen in order to save the country from all this problem. One way is to offer incentive not only to the policy formulation but also policy implementation, and the institution which are the main channel for the implementing the project should be motivated by the offering incentive so that they can keep doing their work continuously and consistently. All this can be done by providing incentive mechanism inherent in the budgeting, like achieving the short term targets and frame with rewards from the government. So it is essential for the consistency and the continuity of implementation of the incentive offers. Next one is why does the issue budgeting as a why does the issue Budgeting as a politics versus budgeting as a analysis remains important in the budgeting process. Do you agree that some synthesis of two positions seems possible? So, budgeting responsibilities of the modern government are vast and grave. For budget to cure the often quoted Gladstone goes to root the prosperity of individual, the relation of classes and the strength of kingdom. In the budget making are projected the financial policy, the aspiration, anxiety will be removed, and the budgeting responsibilities, strictly speaking, are not the exclusive concern one particular ministry, however powerful it may be. All the ministry come into the picture at various stage and varying capacity. The Ministry of Finance dealing with the financial business has overall responsibility the framing the budget. But the finance minister is the steward of the nation purse. It is the paramount duty that the nation finances conducted prudently and efficiently. The finance minister is responsible for raising necessary revenues and must have the predominant voice in the determination amount and some degree the character of the expenditure. The financial rules of the union government and financial power upon the Ministry of Finance. This arrangement has been envisaged the 77(3) of the Indian Constitution, which authorized the union president to make rules for conducting the business of the union government, and the finance ministry is responsible for the preparation of the annual financial statement, for the piloting it through the parliament, for supervising by the various departments, for the collection of revenue and the give the financial control. And the finance ministry finally present budget at the Lok Sabha. This does with the speech, non-budget speech, and the budgeting analyzing process. After the representation of budget, vote on account, excess demand of grant, vote on account varies from 2 to more months. So this is how budget prepares. Now what the next question is, critically examine the classical science of administration with the special reference is to criticism by Dwight Waldo and Robert Dahl. So classical science of administration is at the center stage in evaluation of the public administration. Excessive research done by the theories like F.W. Taylor, Henry Fayol, Gulick, Urveric and Max Weber gave very base to the field of public administration, on which in later years public administration developed, but the classical science suffer from many flaws and value neutral mechanism approach. So the classical scientists mainly concentrated on increased efficiency, completely ignored the human part. Taylor is the scientific management theory. He interpreted the organization efficiency in the mechanistic term. He treated work as a machine. He is also criticized for the oversimplification of human motivation. He talked only about financial incentive. Same way, Fayol was also opposed the mechanistic model, and the classical theories, on the other hand, were criticized the unscientific theory. It is said that the theory was not tested under scientific condition, thus the empirical base was missing. It was an atomistic theory, as it saw the human being in isolation from the fellow men in organization. It is described as normative theory because it is more concerned with what ought to be rather than what is. Thus, unlike the behavioral approach, it does not study the actual behavior of the organization. The classical science of administration was termed as the closed and static model. This virtually complete exclusion of organization from the outside environment. At the motivational front is talk only about the economic incentive. There was nothing to address the workers' grievances. They were taken as granted. He was thought that they will work harder for money. And the worker were treated like a cog in the machine, and that's why the classical science was criticized by the died Waldo. And Waldo was against the value neutrality and classical thinker. He was against the mechanistic model. Waldo said that the public administration need a change by which it can be made more relevant, and this change can only be imparted if it include values in human emotions. So the classical writers were against the inclusion of values, but they wanted to make administration science. But it is course of action that stood against the use of administration for the welfare of common people. For public administration is irrelevant. Waldo wanted to remove those flaws so that the society equality is achieved, and public administration be seen as only answer to their misery. So same way Robert Dahl criticized the classical thinker for their quest of making administration science. Robert Dahl and the mechanistic model is of no use. It's almost impossible to keep human emotions of picture. He said that it become increasingly difficult for the public administration to avoid human emotions and values, and that's why for which criticize the classical thinker. So public administration is a comprehensive science. He criticized the classical thinker scientists for not doing enough research in the field, and the principle given by the classical scientists were criticized and termed as mere proverb. So he said that every principle contradict with other principle. For example, he said principle of specialization and principle of unity of command contradict and each other. Whenever the criticism, but it's clear that the classical science provided a deep insight in organization analysis and they developed public administration. Question number 2. What is the performance of budgeting? Bring out the merits, limitations and difficulties. The quest to bring efficiency and effectiveness in the management approach, which budgeting led to search of different form of budgeting. So emancipation of performance of budgeting was one of the such approach. The establishment of our commission definitely to search the best management approach for budgeting, and this commission for the performance budgeting accordingly it was managed by President Truman. Okay, so this was the Truman who talked about the budgeting. So now common man for what only if there is the increased petroleum product, it affect the whole commodity market, including the vegetable basic necessity and like medicine and milk. So when the budgeting process of country start, state government try to get more grants from the central government. In the same way, all other administrative ministry also try to get maximum share for their ministry to materialize their promise and common man. The state government of Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu are the best example influencing the budget. The Tamil Nadu politics and announced for free television for the people. It is the best example of bad politics. And Union government announced the loan waiver scheme and it will affect the healthy economic development. The loan waiver scheme for the television, 1 rupees rice and wheat, free and other goods and subsidies are people may have helped them development, but it is affect the future. And the crore of loan waiver scheme may help the reduce the Vidarbha and Andhra Pradesh suicide, but at the same time it will show the wrong precedence for the people and approach on the loan. Even the political leaders mindset will be impacted, and the free goods like television and so on may appear the people and vote share for politics, but when the budget process start for the country, finance ministry is bound to compromise the development work in the economy that will affect the economic innovative thinking of global competition. And once the good economy is taken for consideration, the subsidy, free goods and other votes bank politics cannot exist. It will affect the political parties personally, and when the bad politics with colorful announcement for so-called betterment of people. So the good economy cannot prevail, and good economy and bad politics cannot coexist in the budget. So question next is like there is no doubt that departmentalism is fought for with complexities. There's a part technical in the part of political. So what is the departmentalism? Departments is a fundamental organization unit of administration. Department is traditions and most important form of dividing the conducting government operation. Department imply grouping of related activity. The theory of departmentalism is an important principle of administration. Luther Gulick identified 4 bases of the department is created. This is known the 4 Gulick: purpose, process, and person, place. In order to create certain department, one of the identify the major function and goals of organization and create department each function. Work is the organization may be divided on the basis of major purpose and welfare department. Such department are self-contained organization and low coordination costs are involved in securing departments. So some departments are created based on process of skill functioning, department of law, scientific research, urban development. Since process of skill is basis for their department and therefore all work based on the similar process. An advantage of sub-department is it's bring together in single office a large amount of each kind of work. Possible to make use of most effective division of work and specialization. It make possible use of labor and machinery. Specialization of work according to the person's house is the third basis of departmental organization. Old age welfare plan, Ministry of Tribal Affairs, and particular kind of person who needs special attention. The people who work in the department require specialized skill. Some department of organizations are based on place of territory, district administration, Ministry of External Affairs. All function performed in the given area are clubbed together and the department is created. This base is useful for the intensive development of an area. So, what is the departmentalization system leads to specialization of the government? It helps to chief executive in exercising the better control. It confines its span of attention a few departments, which result in efficient and effective working. This system leads to better utilization of technical plants. Under this system, conflict of jurisdiction, overlapping of function, duplication of organization activity may be avoided. And most important factor, grouping of related service departmentally bring about economy and efficiency. And in spite of above advantage, these different criteria are not exact absolute. In practice, service of one department are complement to service of the other. And in India, formulation of dissolution of department is executive function, that is say more political in nature. But the country USA, Russia, it is parliamentary and constitutional function. According to the Article 77 conduct of the business of the government of India, President shall make rules for the more convenient transaction of the business of government of India. And the allocation of Ministry of the State Business, Rules and Business, Government of India is drafted by the proper allocation done by the cabinet secretary. And since cabinet secretary is a political body, therefore department is the political influence. A department is federal system. Because of presidential system, the president span of control is important consideration, influencing the number of units and the highest level, whereas parliamentary system size of department is not a large federal, because parliament system is governed by the collective responsibility. And there are more number of department headed by minister, who is exercise of the function of supportive junior ministry. So political influence decisively determine the number of ministry and individual workload is the cabinet system of government. With the effect of LPG as well as the nation of the welfare state, government development functions and responsibility has increased manifold and fulfill the promises during election campaign, creating new departments. So political coordination imperative that there should not be a too many departments. At the same time, different interest and personality has got the accommodated interest party due to demand of department administration partly to distribute the sub function are allocated and the state and deputy ministry. So political requirement of the development are including the regional and cultural and their influence, shape and size of government. So to sum up the structure of government of organization and the allocation of functions of number of needs, neither the administration political nor world national, with the changing needs of requirement, change, modification in the structure have become inevitable. In creating of department is a relative concept, and the primary responsibility of one department become the secondary and vice versa. So this was the departmentalization. Now we are going to discuss about the good governance. So good governance, UN Millennium Development Goals, that was in 2000. So good governance is synonym to democratic government. Democratic government possible when democratic values, norms are ingrained into the society and instituted along with the procedural requirement of fair and free election and a peaceful turnover of power. A strong civil society, respect for human rights, general the minority rights, in particular the accountable, transparent public administration. So decentralized local government is the government separation of power and the impartial judiciary, also with the macroeconomic stability, high economic growth and declining poverty. So core dimension of good governance, these features of good governance including the principle of Millennium Development Goal cannot exist without the accompanying the value of freedom, solidarity, tolerance and respect, and share responsibility in international development, security, peace. The Millennium Development Goal associated norms and values are quintessential means of building trust and government institution, eradicating poverty and hunger, ensuring the universal primary education and promotion gender equality, empowering women, combating HIV, malaria and disease, and reducing the child mortality, improving the maternal health and achieving the environment stability. Millennium Development Goals are attention only if considerable gaps between the performance of different country and region is applying the instituting the reforms toward the successful completion of Millennium Development Goal. Some reasons for this performance gaps can be found in lack of economic growth and income inequality and political mismanagement. Efficient policy making, while constant and high economic growth are carefully designed and targeted poor policy, are crucial for attention the Millennium Development Goal. effective decentralization and delivery of services, respect to human rights and rule and law, and accountability is potential for the good governance. Question number next is the issue of user fee and public-private partnership and the outsourcing technique. So issue is the user fee. What is the issue of user fee? At the institution level, it has been suggested that delegation authority for the service delivery to non-government organization might lead to loss of political legitimacy of government action and arm. So especially if the contract management of service delivery also included public perception of legitimacy of private firm providing public goods. Further compound this impact, however, if the involvement of private provider increase, the level of service provided to public at reduced. So cost to consumer of the service, the involvement of private producers should lead to increased political legitimacy. Further, it is suggested that extensive contracting, what they term outsourcing, might lead to an erosion of power of public sector and creates powerful player who assimilate many independent arrangement of outsourcing. However, they also purpose the objectivity. Private provider might serve to challenge the cultural constraint, establish taboos and attitude, bringing new creative idea. The different institution between the private provider and public sector might also lead to increased conflict. And if this institution aspect increase the societal level, unfortunately, the impact on other aspect of institutional environment such as credit worthiness of corruption also needs to address. In addition, the interesting link between the local government and capacity and societal such as PPP. So this was now next is PPP model. The recent increased involvement of private organizations. So the private organizations are recently increasing. So new public management, roving to steering, like policy decision is more rather than delivering. Roving to steer Osborne and Gabler 1992. And role of government shift, a concern to do towards a concern to ensure that things are done, and through collaboration the responsibility ensuring that service performed therefore separated from the actual performance, and the former being termed as provision while later was the production. So the new role therefore called the expansion. Okay, so expansion of provision function and of service is no longer necessity delivery in house. Provision entails a host of expanded function that seek to stimulate the orchestrate like production success. What is the production success? What is the provisional function of government? Seek to coordinate more complex network of actor, and reasoning is that because of production of service is no longer necessary, so government might also lack the resources and specialized expertise like financial and managerial to develop, manage, and organize instruction asset. They lack to institute capacity in compounded when government undertake especially large and complex project. In addition, this constraint leads to inefficiency in operation and maintenance in infrastructure. If we further include the both institution and political aspect defined above to address these capacity gaps, government have increasingly moved towards set up the arrangement involving differing degree of private participation in developing and managing of infrastructure. And these new construction arrangement of infrastructure delivery is some public, private, and partnership. Okay. Next one is outsourcing technique. What is the outsourcing? So a number of authors from have found that controlling contracting in social service decrease public sector capacity by reducing public staffing level and hence public sector human capital. This finding is unsurprisingly as a reduction in the function delivery by the government should lead to fewer staff being needed. In many outsourcing arrangement, private providers re-employ the public employee who used to deliver the service. But these cases, this number are soon cut pursuit of increased efficiency, and if focus more broadly just on public service delivery and contracting being found to increase the managerial capacity, as these arrangements allow public manager to focus more closely on the organization core activity and the increased interaction of public private players and likelihood of the skilled public worker and post or spine or to this. It is however found that the rate of skill highly qualified staff, and it is often suggested that outsourcing increase organizational flexibility to meet challenges, and in line with the discussion changing role of government outsourcing private sector increase support supply network complexity and therefore invariably increase managerial capacity. And outsourcing in addition excessive contraction could lead to hollowing out, and at the organization level which reduce the organization capacity. So explain the Peter principle. See, a hierarchical organization. Peter principle has the hierarchical organization of manager rise to their level of incompetence. So Peter criticized the bureaucracy, and in the hierarchical organization, promotion are given by the employee. In this promotion, employee are raised from the lower level to the higher, and the promotion is given to him because of the successful functioning at the level. His skill and capability of higher level inefficient. He was promoted because of successful functioning of lower level. He may not be capable of functioning at higher level. Thus, the promotion is an organization. All the people are promoted to the level of whether they are cannot earn the promotion by successful functioning at the level. This was the open consume of Peter, regardless the detection of the managerial condition at higher level. Okay, so now next one is discuss about the connection between the promotion based seniority. So seniority based promotion. So promotion is the elevation of the person from a given position to higher position. It involves a change in duties to the more difficult types of work and greater responsibility. It accomplished by the change of title, usually an increase in pay. And there are various type of promotion, like from lower grade to higher, and from lower service to higher. Promotion is based on the three principles. These are seniority, merit. Seniority comes merit. So seniority based promotion are old age and still prevalent. And in this, the person with longer career experience promoted first. No merits is considered in the method. It is having various advantage, like it is very simple from the operate. And most organizations maintain the circulation of seniority list of the employee. The principle of the promotion by the seniority gives a feeling of security to employee. This feel is secure about their future as well as would earn their promotion of their turn. It's remove the bias from the selection process. It does not leave anything to the discretion of bosses. An element of bias automatically removed. So seniority become the asset of which people would not like to give the easily. It's result from lower level to up. So seniority based promotion makes the better interpersonal relationship, since there is no need of any of include the backbiting against the colleagues. So the element of competition is minimum and better cooperation. This will lead to better communications and same rank or employee as they feel free to express their opinion. The seniority based promotion are also have the disadvantage, like it's ignore the merit. This leads to inefficient performance of person. The employee will not put this best performance. Highly qualified and the competent person are not attracted to join the organization. So they would like to go where they are faster promotion on the basis of merit system. And the competent person who join the organization feel frustrated and maybe leave the organization. The seniority based promotion may also lead to problem discipline and work and behavior becomes secondary for the promotion in such system. In India, the system of seniority cum merit based promotion is followed. In this method, lower level promotion by seniority is followed by higher level promotion. And without ignoring the seniority, it is true that the organization require younger people who have more initiative and drive, but it also require experience of older people. So now next question is the e-governance and good governance. Okay, the paradox between e-governance and good governance. So good governance and e-governance are two sides of the coin. In such a conceptualization, they reinforce each other. In the idealized state, the two become indistinguishable. Good governance has been often cited as an essential requirement of the accelerating socio-economic development, but despite more than half a country of development endeavor are still struggling with the issue of development and rising population. Now describe the demographic dividend. E-governance is the contracting electronic government, and electronic government which is the candid expression of governance using the electronic means through lengthy expression, some of the perhaps due to the clarity. E-governance means the government through online meets the needs of citizen public service. By extending the scope of e-governance also include the availability of complete information, online facility of expression and facility of payment. So the centralization decentralization dichotomy, however, is slower but surely giving rise of paradox. And while the government are advocating the practicing decentralization, e-governance definition is actively advocating the centralization way of one window integrated seamless public service Similarly, the new public management whose one of the basic tenets is decentralization into the conflict with e-governance. So there is a fundamental paradox between the digital enabled government and the new public management, so which become the enraged New Zealand according to the Giffen. According to the reports NPM exemplified here, the reforms concentrate on the decentralization and policy making from the policy implementation. So, a special purpose agency or private sector like business style, digital era government by the contrasting C efficiency, iteration, and reorganization, and function of bundle that relate to particular life or the experience of citizen. The digital era is also about the centralized common all of government function as customer authentication, which the counter to separate accountability of agency and their heads have been fostered under NPM. Thus, a centralized decentralized tension has been reduced. So this is about. Now we are talking about the e-governance. E-governance is like the Max Weber told about the iron cage of the rationality. E-governance, so the electronic government comprises electronic service delivery, electronic democracy, and digital support to the policy making. The optimistic view of e-governance that once for all improvement in the capability of the governments and possibility of rationality decision making is based on the classical cybernetics theory of information control. E-governance will lead to decrease the uncertainty. It will slow down the entropy and increase system control, feedback and deviation of correlation. So the critics argue that the outcome may price that the improvement in decision making and damage to politician control over decision making agenda favor the civil servant officer incoherency or an oligopoly of private contracts. So, on this view, the e-governance is the final arrival of maximum Max Weber's iron cage of rationality. Question next is what? That is, neither Edward Widner nor Fredericks was able to describe the process of development administration, explain the drawback weakness in the theoretical analysis. So, what is the development administration is Edward Widner and Fredericks. So Pandit Nehru once called the public sector undertaking at the modern temple of India. Public sector undertakings are aimed to achieve the balanced regional development, employment, generating, creating infrastructure, breaking the monopoly of private enterprise. It initiate the achieve the desired results, and PSU generate the employment, recreated infrastructure and things. This will created to attain the socialistic pattern of the development, yet it didn't attain the desired result due to the red tapeism interference of higher capital. So work culture and interference, lack of professional management. To remedy this ill, liberalization was adopted and deregulation, deinvestment, deburocration, right sizing, downsizing. The concept of joint venture and public holding companies were adopted. Principal technology for capital and professional management. So Maharatna Navaratna autonomy. So memorandum of understanding was concluded, which ensured the accountability and method was changed and goal post was shifted. The Nehruian modern the provided the ideological skeletal liberalization, publicness of the public was the maintained. Next is civil servant must be social moralities in the action. Leaving up the Paul Appleby dictum that responsible government is ethical government, examine the statement in light of the road government. Good governance is considered as a part of attaining the efficient and effective government. It is also viewed as citizen friendly and responsible government. It is work according to the mandate of wishes of people. The Paul Appleby address on the people satisfaction. He further said responsible and responsive bureaucracy is moral. Some point which enumerate the judge moral government. First, political setup should be responsible and periodic election should be held. Second point, quality service monitoring should be there, and same efficiency and no misuse of power should be there. Check transparency and openness and efficiency effectiveness should be part of the administration. And money and global competition environment administration withstand for challenge. Rationality should be kept in view which formulating the judging the policy. Behavior acceptance is paramount according to the ARC. It should be culturally bound by character of elitist nature of bureaucracy should remain in past. So democracy setup needs service servant nature of the bureaucracy. So this was all chapter